There is a story whispered in the old temples of Kyoto, a tale teachers barely dare to speak, and monks bow their heads when it is mentioned. They say there was once a man who became so powerful that even death itself stepped aside for him. His name was Miyamoto Musashi, and the world remembers him only by the surface. The undefeated samurai, the swordsman who never lost a duel. But few know the secret, the discipline that made him unstoppable. A discipline born not from strength, but from pain. Long before he became legend, Musashi was just a boy. His real name was Shinmen Takizo. Born in a cold village tucked between silent mountains, where winter winds cut the skin like blades. His father was a samurai, rigid, cold, sharp as steel. A man who believed love only weakened a warrior. Every morning, the village woke to the same sound, the crack of a wooden sword striking bone. That sound came from Musashi's bones. His father trained him like an animal, forcing him to stand barefoot in snow, swinging a heavy oak sword until his hands bled and the tears froze on his cheeks. Strength is born from suffering, his father would say. Pain is your only teacher. But Musashi did not feel strong. He felt alone. He felt small. The other children avoided him. Their eyes held fear, as if he were a ghost or a cursed child. His mother had died when he was still young, and the only softness he ever remembered was the scent of her kimono, a memory fading more each winter. Inside him, a quiet question grew. Why must I live like this? Why must the sword be my life? He had no answer. One night, after another brutal training session, Musashi stood outside his home, trembling. His hands were raw, wrapped in torn cloth. Above him, the moon glowed like a watching eye. He lifted his hands toward it, whispering to a god he did not know. Please, let me be more than this. His voice broke. He had never allowed himself to cry where anyone could see, but tonight his tears fell silently into the dirt. Suddenly, a voice came from behind. You cry like someone who wants to be free. Musashi spun around. An old wanderer stood by the path, bent with age, leaning on a wooden staff. His clothes were simple, worn, almost invisible if one didn't look closely. His face was calm, eyes deep like a still pond untouched by wind. Who are you? Musashi asked, startled. A traveler, the old man answered. One who listens. He stepped closer. His presence alone felt like time slowed. Like breathing became easier. Tell me, what do you fear most? Musashi's throat tightened. He could not speak. The wanderer nodded, as though the silence itself had answered him. Fear is not your enemy, the old man said. It is the doorway. But only those who walk through it discover who they are. Musashi swallowed hard. Something inside him, something buried, shifted. The wanderer turned and slowly continued down the moonlit path. Tomorrow, he called back, without looking. Come to the temple by the river before the sun rises. If you want to learn the discipline that even death cannot defeat. Then he vanished into the night. Sleep did not come to Musashi. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His father's words echoed in his skull, sharp as blades. You are weak. You will never be enough. And yet, the old wanderer's voice whispered beneath it like a soft drum. Fear is the doorway. Before dawn, Musashi stood at the threshold of his home. His father's sword hung on the wall, a fine katana, the pride of the household. Only warriors were allowed to touch it. Musashi hesitated, then looked away. He chose not the sword, but his empty hands, bare, human, and he walked toward the river. The temple stood hidden in the mist, a wooden skeleton rising from the stone. Silent. Abandoned. But inside, there he was. The wanderer. He sat cross-legged before a single candle, eyes closed. The candle flame did not flicker. Musashi stepped forward. His breath echoed in the cold temple air. You came, the old man said, eyes still closed. I want to learn, Musashi whispered. The old man opened his eyes, steady, unblinking. Then understand this. The world believes Musashi became invincible because of his sword. They are wrong. Steel never made him strong. What made him unstoppable was something far more difficult. He slowly rose to his feet, bones cracking softly like branches under snow. The discipline of seeing death before it arrives. Musashi frowned. What does that mean? The wanderer walked to a stone basin filled with water. Most men live by waiting, he said. Waiting for danger. Waiting for failure. Waiting for pain. They react only when struck. They survive only by luck. He dipped his hand into the water, lifting a single droplet. Musashi learned to move before the world moved, to see before the world revealed, to accept death before it could ever threaten him. He let the droplet fall. Only a man who no longer fears death can never lose. The words pierced Musashi like arrows. You knew him? Musashi asked, voice unsteady. The old man simply smiled. Training begins now. What followed was not training as Musashi imagined. There were no swords, no screams, no punishments. The old man led him to the freezing river, told him to kneel, told him to listen. Close your eyes, he whispered. Musashi obeyed. What do you hear? Water, wind, birds, he murmured. No, the old man said gently. Listen deeper. Hear yourself. Musashi tried. He felt his heartbeat, his breath shaking, his thoughts racing like wild horses. It is loud, he confessed. That noise inside you, the wanderer said, is the true enemy. Hours passed. The sun rose. Musashi's legs trembled. His knees went numb. His breath shivered. Still, the old man watched. Do you want to leave? He asked. Musashi wanted to scream yes. He wanted warmth. A sword. A battlefield. Anything but facing his own mind. But something stronger held him there. I will stay. The old man nodded. In this temple, there is only one law. A warrior must face himself before he faces the world. For days, Musashi returned. Each morning colder. Each silence heavier. He learned to see the world without speaking. To sense the wind before it moved the leaves. To feel the ground beneath his feet instead of rushing across it. He learned to breathe, slowly, until even fear itself seemed to fall asleep within him. And slowly, the boy who once swung a sword in rage began to transform, from a child trapped in pain, into something still silent, like a mountain waiting for lightning. One night, as Musashi trudged home, exhausted, he heard shouting. Villagers gathered like a terrified flock. A traveling samurai, tall, armored, blade sharp like moonlight, stood in the square. He was challenging anyone who dared. Is this village full of cowards? He roared. Musashi's father stepped forward, trembling. I will face you. The duel began. And in 3 breaths, it ended. A sword. A scream. Blood darkening the earth. Musashi's father fell. Villagers scattered. Silence swallowed the world. Musashi froze. His heart cracked open. No tears came, only a cold, hollow ache. The samurai turned his gaze toward the boy. You look like him, he said. Same eyes. Same weakness. He lifted his blade. Shall I finish your bloodline? Musashi could not move. Fear chained him. Every lesson he had learned felt small, useless. The samurai stepped closer. The edge of steel hovered inches from Musashi's throat. Then, somewhere behind him, a voice. Breathe. Musashi inhaled. The world slowed. The blade glimmered like a falling star. His fear did not vanish, but he stepped through it. And in that moment, the secret discipline awakened. His father's death, the years of pain, the river, the silence, the old man's voice. Everything became one single strike of destiny. Musashi reached for a fallen branch, not a weapon, just wood, and raised it as the blade descended. Crack. The wood met steel. And the world changed. As the samurai staggered back in shock. Musashi felt emotion rip through him. Grief, fury, love, loss, all at once. A storm that demanded release. He screamed. A sound that was not anger, but birth. The samurai stepped back, stunned. This boy. Musashi tightened his grip, heart pounding like thunder. The world awaited his next move. And everything, depended on what he chose now. Would he kill? Would he run? Or would he become something else? The story hangs on the edge of that answer. The samurai's eyes narrowed, the tip of his blade trembling slightly, not with fear, but with disbelief. Here was a boy, barely more than a child, standing before him with nothing but a splintered branch, yet radiating a calm that no seasoned fighter could ignore. Musashi's chest heaved with grief, the raw, painful weight of his father's death pressing down like a mountain. Yet beneath that grief, something else stirred. A strange, steady flame he could not name. He remembered the old man's words. A warrior must face himself before he faces the world. And now, for the first time, Musashi understood. The samurai lunged. Steel cut the cold morning air, a sound sharp enough to split the clouds. Musashi moved before his mind even told him to. The branch met the blade again, a sharp, echoing crack, and the impact surged through him like electricity. Pain lanced his arms, yet he felt no fear. Only presence. Only clarity. Every moment stretched, each second revealing the rhythm of life and death. Musashi felt the samurai's thoughts before he acted, a flicker of doubt, the weight of pride, a shadow of arrogance. He was reading the air, the wind, the tiny shifts in muscle and bone. The boy, no, the young man, was no longer just surviving. He was becoming something more. The samurai staggered backward, eyes wide, not from exhaustion, but from shock. And in that pause, Musashi did something he had never allowed himself to do before. He spoke. "I do not wish to kill you," he said, voice steady. "But I will not run either." The samurai froze. The world seemed to hold its breath. And in that moment, Musashi realized something profound. True strength did not come from steel or anger. It came from knowing yourself so completely that nothing else could move you. The victory was not celebrated. Musashi did not smile. He did not feel joy. He only felt the hollow ache where his father had once been, and the quiet, burning resolve that now filled his chest. He left the samurai behind, walking through the village like a ghost. Villagers peeked from behind doors, whispering his name, but he felt no pride. He felt only the weight of what lay ahead, because victory was only the beginning. The old man's teachings demanded more. He returned to the temple, kneeling by the frozen river again, letting the cold seep into his bones, letting the silence teach him what words could not. Every breath counts, the old man told him one morning, voice low, almost swallowed by the wind. Every step, every glance, every heartbeat, the world is a river of movement. Those who cannot feel it die. Those who cannot move with it are crushed. Musashi trained relentlessly, but this was no ordinary training. There were no techniques, no flashy maneuvers, no glorified battles. There were hours spent sitting in darkness, listening to nothing, until the sound of his own mind became 1,000 voices, and then, none. There were days he wanted to give up. Days when the snow burned his skin and the river seemed endless. Days when he thought the wanderer had abandoned him, and that the world would never make sense. And yet, every time he felt like surrendering, something deep inside him whispered, "Move through it." Months passed. Seasons shifted. Musashi's body grew leaner, his reflexes sharper, but the real change was invisible. It lived in the small moments, the way he could sense a bird before it flew, a leaf before it fell. The way his heartbeat aligned with the rhythm of the river. The way he could walk silently through forests, yet feel every creature, every shadow, every sound. It was not just skill. It was presence. The old man finally spoke one evening as the sun dipped behind the mountains, painting the sky with fire. "Musashi," he said, "you have seen death. You have felt it, embraced it, and let it teach you. But the ultimate test is yet to come. You must face the world, not with your mind, not with your heart, but with your soul. Only then will you be unstoppable." Musashi nodded, understanding that this was not a request. It was destiny. The next challenge came sooner than he expected. A group of Ronin, men without masters, wandering killers, arrived at his village, seeking to claim the territory and test themselves against anyone brave enough to resist. The villagers panicked, but Musashi did not. He stepped into the village square alone. No sword. Just the presence of a boy who had stared death in the face and survived. The Ronin laughed. "A child dares face us?" Musashi's gaze did not waver. He saw each of them clearly, their fear hidden behind bravado, their arrogance like paper shields against the storm. And he moved, not like a boy, not like a fighter, but like a river, unstoppable, fluid, and true. When the clash ended, Musashi stood alone amidst unconscious men, bruised but unbroken. He did not celebrate. He did not gloat. He only felt the cold wind against his skin, carrying the scent of earth and blood and truth. He had passed another trial. Yet, the inner struggle continued. Musashi had learned to move through fear. He had learned to read the world. He had learned the secret of the discipline. But the pain, the loneliness, the memory of his father, it lingered, a shadow at the edge of his soul. One night by the river, he cried for the first time in years. Not out of weakness, but to release what had been buried so deeply: anger, grief, guilt, the suffocating pressure of expectation. The old man appeared silently, sitting beside him without a word. Pain will always return, the old man said. But it is not your enemy. It is your teacher. Learn from it. Move with it. And one day, it will make you invincible. Musashi looked at the stars reflecting in the river, feeling the weight of every lesson, every loss, every victory. He realized the truth. Being unstoppable did not mean never being hurt. It meant being whole in spite of it. The old man handed him a small, worn scroll. Inside this, he said, are the words you must live by. Not technique. Not rules. Not honor or fame. Only this, to see clearly, to move swiftly, to accept what is, and what must be, without fear. Musashi held the scroll in his hands, trembling. This was the key, the discipline, the unseen force that would carry him through every battle, every duel, every shadow of death. He had become more than a boy with a sword. He had become a force, quiet, relentless, unstoppable. But the world was not done testing him. Rumors spread of a legendary swordsman, a man whose blade could not be touched. And soon, Musashi would face challenges that no river, no mountain, no teacher could prepare him for. The next duel would not just test his skill, it would test his soul. And the secret discipline he had learned, the one that made him untouchable, would be the only thing standing between life and death. The wind shifted. Somewhere in the distance, a lone bell tolled. Musashi's eyes narrowed. His body tensed, not in fear, but in readiness. He knew the world was waiting. The duels, the enemies, the battles, the impossible choices, all of it lay ahead, and deep inside, beneath grief, beneath loneliness, beneath every scar the years had carved into him. Musashi felt it clearly. He was ready. The boy who had been broken, who had cried by the frozen river, who had faced death without flinching, he was now a man. And no one, not even the sharpest steel, could stop him. But what Musashi did not yet know was that the greatest test of all would demand more than skill, more than discipline, more than courage. It would demand his soul. The story of the unstoppable swordsman was far from over. The morning air was cold, heavy with mist that clung to the earth like a secret. Musashi stood on the edge of a cliff, overlooking a valley where warriors had fallen countless times before. He could feel the weight of every duel, every scar, every breath he had taken along the river, in the temple, in the villages. His hands itched for a sword, but he did not reach for one. The weapon he carried now was something far more powerful: presence, awareness, and the discipline that had transformed fear into clarity. He remembered the old man's words one last time. See clearly, move swiftly, accept what must be. Musashi took a deep breath. This would be the test that defined him. News had spread of a swordsman who could not be defeated. Stories of Musashi's victories traveled faster than rumors of war. And as with every legend, challenges followed. A new opponent arrived, not with arrogance or cruelty, but with precision, discipline, and the same calm that Musashi had learned to wield. The man bowed before him, eyes clear and sharp. Miyamoto Musashi, he said, voice steady. I have come to see if the stories are true. Musashi nodded, silent. No words were needed. Everything had been said in the river, in the temple, in the frozen nights of training. The world had taught him in silence. He did not seek glory. He only sought truth. The duel began. Steel clashed. The sound echoed through the valley like thunder. The world shrank until there was only the two of them. Two warriors, one truth, and the endless rhythm of movement and stillness. Musashi did not fight. He flowed. He did not strike. He responded. Each motion was calculated, precise, yet effortless, like water bending around a rock. Every attack was met not with defense, but understanding. He felt the intentions behind every strike before the opponent even thought them. Time slowed. Hours could have passed in a single heartbeat. Musashi's body ached, but his mind was unbroken. The lessons of the river, the temple, and the frozen nights had become part of him. He was no longer merely a man. He was presence itself. The opponent lunged with a final, desperate strike. Musashi moved through it, not blocking, not evading, he simply was. The sword passed harmlessly, his body a ghost, his mind a river flowing beyond fear. In that instant, Musashi realized the final truth: invincibility was never about the blade. It was about the surrender of fear, the mastery of self, the discipline of being fully alive. The duel ended not with a scream, not with a wound, but with stillness. Both warriors lowered their swords, breathing the same air, sharing a silence that spoke louder than victory. Musashi walked away, alone, yet complete. He returned to the village, but he no longer saw it as a place to conquer or protect. He saw it as a living world, full of impermanence, beauty, and the quiet lessons hidden in every breath. Children ran past him, laughing. The river flowed as it had always flowed, carrying secrets and memories with it. Musashi knelt and touched the water, feeling the weight of everything that had come before. He thought of the old man. He thought of the cold, biting mornings and the river that had frozen beneath his knees. He thought of the pain, the fear, the grief. All of it had led him here. And for the first time, he felt not just strength, but peace. He understood now, discipline was not a path to victory over others. It was a path to victory over oneself. To be unstoppable did not mean to be feared. It meant to live fully, unshaken, clear-eyed, in harmony with the world and with death itself. Years passed. Musashi wandered, dueling not to kill, but to understand. Every fight, every challenge, became a lesson. He wrote in quiet rooms by candlelight, teaching the principles of his discipline, how to see clearly, how to act without hesitation, how to move beyond fear. His name became legend not because he was undefeated, but because he had lived the impossible, fully human, yet beyond the reach of fear. People came to him seeking glory. He offered only truth. Victory is fleeting, he told them. Discipline is eternal. They listened. Some understood. Some did not. And some walked away, carrying the memory of a man who had faced death, grief, and the relentless cruelty of the world, and emerged not bitter, not hardened, but free. Musashi's secret discipline, the quiet power of presence, awareness, and fearlessness, became his gift to the world. It was simple yet profound. He taught that to be unstoppable, one must do more than swing a sword or train a body. One must train the mind, embrace pain, confront fear, and accept life and death with equal reverence. He lived long, but not unscarred. Each wound, each loss, each heartbreak became part of the river flowing within him. And when he finally passed into silence, the world did not lose a swordsman. It gained a story. A story of discipline, clarity, and the relentless courage of a human heart. The greatest duel Musashi ever fought was not against another warrior. It was against himself. Against doubt. Against grief. Against a fear that would have stopped any ordinary man. And by facing it, he discovered the ultimate truth: no one can defeat a soul that has mastered itself. Even death bowed before him, not in fear, but in recognition. For Musashi had become more than legend. He had become a living testament to the power of discipline, the inevitability of presence, and the beauty of embracing the full spectrum of life. And in the quiet moments, when the river flows, when the wind whispers through the mountains, when the snow falls silently in the night, his story remains. A story that whispers to anyone brave enough to listen: pain is a teacher. Fear is a doorway. Discipline is the path. And through them all, you can become unstoppable. Musashi's life teaches us this. The battles that shape us most are not fought with swords, but with patience, awareness, and the courage to confront ourselves. Victory is temporary. Discipline lasts forever. And the heart that refuses to yield is truly invincible. The legend is not just in the victories won, but in the man who became more than fear, more than anger, more than mortality. Musashi became the rhythm of life itself, untouchable, unstoppable, eternal. The river still flows. The wind still moves. And somewhere, in every quiet moment of struggle and silence, the secret discipline waits for the next soul brave enough to embrace it.